Hey, hey, peoples. I was reading emails and I'm 2 minutes late. Sorry. Samantha is in the chat. Hey, Samantha. Um, we're live. So I have I have a few announcements for you guys today, and I got to tell you right off the bat that this will be maybe about a half an hour long tops, because um, a few announcements, and then maybe if you have a question for me, you can put it in the comments over there or message me later. That's fine. But I have a truckload of dirt coming at noon ish, somewhere around noon, for some home project stuff. So, anyway, I hope you are doing well. It's good to see you, sort of see you. If you see me looking down and up and down and up, my laptop is down, the camera is up on a tripod, and they're not on equal planes. So I will be doing this from time to time. There's a reason for it. I want to congratulate you, many of you, for finishing the first 3 week group of work for all of your classes. Hopefully, in all of your classes, you're able to get all of that done. Now, if you by chance happen to not quite be finished, then today is the last unofficial day before you'll get new work. I know packets have been mailed out. My son, who's a seventh grader at Coweeman, received his packet today. You guys will probably be getting them soon, if not already, for those that are receiving packet work. Um, Next week, I want to make you guys aware of 2 days. Next week on Tuesday and Wednesday, from 10 in the morning till 2 p.m., you can drive through the Huntington drive-through and drop off any packet work or paperwork for any of your classes. Um, yeah, from 10 to 2 on Tuesday and Wednesday. 10 to 2, Tuesday and Wednesday. What's up, Trevor? What's up, Michael? Good to see you guys. 10 to 2, drop off. You can drop off library books if you have library books that you don't want to get a fine for. I don't know if I would drop off textbooks quite yet. This is the first kind of drop off day that days, next week that we're offering, but it's not going to be the last days. This is mostly for dropping off of that first 3 weeks of schoolwork that has been mailed out to many of you, and some of you have been doing it online. Um, During this drop off drive through that we're doing, you can also request items be retrieved from your lockers, whether it be PE lockers or your school lockers. You can request that stuff be gotten for you, and you might even want to call ahead just to say, hey, we're coming through around 11 o'clock. Um, my locker's number 468, and I'd like all of my school supplies and everything that's in there um, to be bagged up and given to me when we drop off the schoolwork. Things to keep in mind. If you have checked out a Chromebook, or if you have textbooks from classes, excuse me, I wouldn't return those yet. You'll have other opportunities later at the end of May and beginning of June to turn in those items. Um, but school supplies, items in your locker or PE locker like clothing and shoes, jackets. If you think you might have something in the lost and found, um, you say, hey, I think I lost my green jacket that had this on it and it's a size medium, whatever. The more specific, the better. If you have projects in other classes, like if some of you want your math project, proportions project that you did for me, or like if you did a log cabin for Mr. Fromdahl or something like that, if you want those returned to you, you have to request it, but we will. We'll get those items to you. Um, if you have medication with the school nurse, you should get that. Um, but it's not just a drop off of schoolwork. It could be used to pick up some of your items that you have in the school still. So make sure you tell your parents that. Again, it's Tuesday and Wednesday of next week from 10 in the morning to 2 p.m. And again, if you can call ahead so we can have it ready for you, otherwise, you'll have to wait while it's being gotten. And that, will take a few minutes. So, yeah, that's important announcement number one. What else? I got a little list over here. The next group of assignments and warm-ups and quizzes or whatever that are being sent out to you are going to, like for my students, you guys had what averaged out to be 2 lessons a week. So the first week was lesson 1 and 2, second week was lesson 3 and 4, this week was 5 and 6. Next group of problems and assignments are going to be 1 lesson per week. So there should be 3 lessons in this next group that will be posted. I need to post them still in the Google Classroom, but the packet stuff's already been mailed out. Yeah, 1 lesson a week, very doable. Again, if you have questions, please ask. I know that I have made some mistakes on work that was assigned in the last group. For example, the lesson 6 quiz that many of you have done or tried to do in the last few days have only been school Chromebook accessible, and that is a mistake on my end. And what I will likely do is not count it against anybody that wasn't able to take it. Okay, so don't sweat it. Don't worry about this. The last thing I want you guys doing is worrying about your grades. As long as you are participating and submitting, your best answers, that largely is what your grade for 4th quarter will be based on. Which leads me to how you're being graded for the 4th quarter. 4th quarter grades will be the following: A, B, C, P. Now, A, B, C are just like our A, B's, and C's from before. The P grade is for passing. For any kind of participation, whether it be through packet work or online work, you will receive a passing grade for the quarter. Okay? So again, all you have to do is try. That's it. That's good news, right? That's good news. You're not necessarily being graded, at least for your 7th grade math class, you're not being graded on right out of wrong. You just have to participate the best you can, whether it's in packets or in Google Classroom. And like I said, I'm getting emails here. Nice. And so as long as you're participating, you're going to get at least a pass for the 4th quarter. All right. Now, if you're doing better than passing, then I will give you a C, a B, or an A for your work. But please understand, your participation is what you are being graded on, not right out of wrong necessarily. If you invite me to edit a submitted document that has your answers on it, I will type my comments in on it. I will no longer be allowing students editable access to an assignment, because as I have learned in the last couple weeks, that if I allow students editable access and they put in their answers, then those answers are saved on the document, which means the next person that goes and looks at it the answers are already there. And whether they're right or wrong is a different question, but I don't want someone's answers being saved on a document that everybody can see. And I don't want someone to accidentally delete all of the questions because they're trying to cut and paste instead of copy and paste, right? That would be bad. And that actually happened. So I'm not going to be giving students editable access to an assignment or to a quiz or to a warm up. Quizzes are a little different, but at least for the practice problems, you guys won't have editable access. So if you request it from me, I'm not going to respond to it. What you're going to need to do is either answer on paper and pencil, which is fine, which is 100% fine, or submit your own document with the answers on it. And again, if you invite me to edit or share that with me, I can type in my comments on it, so you can get some feedback on if what you're doing is correct or not. All right. Again, you submit something to me that that you do a relatively good job explaining yourself on the questions that need it, and then ones that are like multiple choice, you just put A, B, C, D, or whatever. Like that's going to be good enough. All right. Um, your semester grade overall is going to be 50% third quarter, 50% fourth quarter. So, um, hey Trinity, good to see you. I've been getting your assignments. Thank you for emailing them to me. Um, we've got 6 people in the chat. So hello to all 6 of you. Everybody that's commented so far, I've seen. Remember, there's about a 4 or 5 second delay from when you hit enter on a comment before I see it. So there's just a slight delay. Be sure to tell your fellow students that that if they're not in the live chat right now, this will still be posted up. So any announcements that I'm making, they can see tonight or on Sunday or whatever. Don't forget, Sunday is Mother's Day. You need to remember Mother's Day. And it's also Teacher Appreciation Week. I just remember that. Anyway, Natalie, what is happening? Good to see you. Yeah, so I will start posting grades in Skyward for students that have turned in some work. And again, it's not meant to be a high stress situation. If you're participating, you're passing. Don't worry about that. Okay, just you're going to be okay. I'm not going to count the lesson 6 quiz against anybody because not everybody checked out a Chromebook, and for whatever reason I either accidentally clicked a button that or it was already there and I forgot to unclick it. I don't know. I need to go back in and check, but the setting only allowed people who had Chromebooks from the school to access it. So that's my mistake. And again, I've made some mistakes on some assignments in this first 3 weeks of this new way to teach and for you guys to learn. So I'm learning as well. I'm learning about Google Classroom like you guys are learning schoolwork. So which means I'm making mistakes as well, and I'm having to ask questions to other teachers and staff members to help me out. So I feel like a student right now, much like you guys are students. Hey Judah, what's happening? Good to see you. Is the Chromebook that you have from the school, or is it your own Chromebook? Because that might make a difference. I'm not 100% sure, but whatever the case is, do not stress about the lesson 6 quiz. Okay, that's not something I'm going to count against people that haven't been able to do it. So don't worry about it. Please don't worry about it. Tell your parents not to worry about that. Okay. To recap so far, next Tuesday and Wednesday, it's from 10 to 2 is a drop off of schoolwork if you have some to drop off, paper copies, packets, projects, or whatever you could be doing for any of your classes. It's also a time where you can pick up things from your lockers, PE lockers, projects, medications, anything that is yours in the school that you would like to retrieve. Don't turn in your Chromebooks yet. Don't turn in your textbooks yet, but do turn in those other things and library books. Okay. Next announcement. If you still have pause tickets, you can turn them in, and the pickup drop off times next week. Um, there, from the best of my knowledge, there will still be an end of year raffle. So students that have pause tickets are able to turn them in um, for the drawings, for the raffle drawings, prize drawings. So anyway, anything else off the top of my head? Let me look at my notes. Um, this year, due to circumstance, there will be an 8th grade awards assembly that will be posted online, either in a PowerPoint or some sort of presentation, maybe on YouTube. Um, but it's only going to be limited to 8th graders. We won't do 6th or 7th grade awards or certificates this year, at least not at this time. So, sorry, 7th graders. Sorry, 6th graders that might have overheard. um, I don't know if that means you guys won't be able to see it. I think you guys will still be able to see it, but it'll just be an 8th grade awards assembly, where they hand out certificates and pins and stuff for achievement in all the different kinds of classes. So, um, let's see. I think that's about it. Um, yeah, as far as announcements, that's about it. I want you to know that when you submit, those of you that are working online, when you submit a document, or some of you have invited me to edit, so you've given me access to your document, um, and I would encourage you guys to do that. Those of you that are working online, because then I can put some comments on there to give you a little bit of feedback, like, yes, you're doing this very well, nice job, or you know what, you're close, your thinking's just off a little bit here. Let me give you a little explanation or a little help with this problem, and maybe how to see it a little more clearly. I will edit when you invite me to edit. I will put my comments in a different color than what you did. You guys typically are all in black ink on white paper, right? So that's pretty standard. Please keep doing that. If you are answering questions, like let's say you copy and paste an assignment and then you put your answers in underneath, it would be helpful to see your answers in a different color than the questions. And for that reason, I'm going to submit my comments to you in a different color than what you have submitted to me in, so that you can tell your work from my comments. Okay. But a bunch of people have already started doing that now that I'm not granting editable access to assignments, practice problems. Um, they're just submitting their own answers on their own document and then inviting me to edit. Okay. That's their way of submitting it to me. And then I have been pretty good about commenting back and sending them back. So, sorry, I'm just catching up in the comments here. Anyway, yeah, ask me to edit or invite me to edit any Google Docs that you want to submit, and then I will put my comments on there. Remember, all teachers at Huntington are immediately available, or close to immediately. Our office hours for access to teachers are from 10 to noon every weekday. I am by my laptop or my iPad, so I can respond to emails quickly. Usually, what I try to do, my routine is that before 10 o'clock, I try to respond. I wake up and then I go to my laptop, and there's anywhere from like 25 to 100 emails every day during the week. And no joke. Because every time a student makes a comment, posts an assignment, asks a question, it notifies me. So I've got 138-ish students. So, when everybody's working, they're doing things and I'm getting notified. There 202 is my record for one day, which is a lot, but I try to get through them before 10 o'clock so that if you had a question, I've responded to it. And then from 10 to noon, I'm available if you want to follow up with that or say, I got it, thanks, or turn in an assignment and ask me to or invite me to edit, and I can give you some feedback. So, and then after noon, I'll usually check again, like around dinner time, and try and get back to you guys, somewhat before my bedtime. Sorry, speaking ahead just made me yawn. Oh, sorry about that. So I'm checking my emails throughout the day, but all Huntington teachers have agreed to be available from 10 to noon. So that's just a little look into what my day is like. Um, I want to ask you guys. There was a question about rolling dice or rolling one die, and it asked if based on what was rolled, one person rolled the die 100 times and they got a 6 33 times out of 100, and then somebody else rolled the die and they got a 6 42 times out of 100. And it was that question, if you guys can remember. And then then it asked, based off of what was rolled, is this a standard number cube or die? And on a standard number cube, it's got the dots for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 on it. And it's a cube. And it is standard because each number is equally likely to be rolled. But based off of the three people that rolled the die, a 6 was rolled 115 times out of 300, which is a little bit more than 1/3 of the time. Well, you'd expect a 6 to be rolled about a sixth of the time, right? If everything was equal, they would all have the same likelihood of being rolled. And therefore, if you roll it 300 times, about a sixth of the time you should get a 1, about a sixth of the time you should get a 2, a sixth of the time a 3, a 4, a 5, and a 6. That's how it should break down if it's a standard die. Well, 115 over 300, that's over a third of the time, or about 35, 36% of the time. That's twice as much as what you would expect, which is probably enough to think that maybe this isn't a standard cube or a standard die. Maybe it's weighted on one side. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's not a cube. Maybe it's another six-sided shape that allows the 6 to be rolled more than others. Um, you can say, it is possible because rolling a die is random. The outcomes are random. It is possible to get 6 more often than what you would expect. But the more you do something, the more accurate the outcomes are to the probability. So, and I'm bringing up this question because it says, okay, person A rolled this many times and got 6 this many times. Person B rolled a die 100 times and got 6 this many times. Person C rolled a die 100 times and got 6 this many times. The question that wanted you to answer was, based on what happened, based on the outcomes, do you think this is a standard die or a standard number cube? And what I've noticed is that, without calling anybody out, but a handful of students said, I think it's a standard number cube because you can get outcomes like this, but It is happening a little bit more than you would think, so maybe it's not. Here's the problem with a question or an answer like that. What you have said, the question says, do you believe A or do you believe B? And that kind of an answer says, I believe A and B. You didn't answer the question. You're playing it safe. You haven't supported a stance. What you're doing is covering your bases, which isn't answering the question. You've argued for both, and that's not what the question wants. It wants, do you believe this is a standard die, or do you believe that it is not a standard die? And then support why you think one of those, which, both, you could make a case for both. Truly, you could make a case for both that are logical, that make sense, they're reasonable, and they can be supported with math reasons, right? All you have to do is decide which one you think is the better answer or has the more evidence to support behind it, and then explain it. Okay? And this is true in any class. If you are asked to, is it A or is it B and say why, you never want to say it's both because that doesn't answer the question. In math and statistics and probability, like we're doing, what you've done is just given a safe answer that doesn't answer the question. So it's technically wrong because you haven't done what it's asked. So if you're given a question in any class, science, history,